Hi everybody, another day, another hat, and another topic. And today I'm going to talk a little bit more about FI and provide you with a flowery metaphor that I think might be helpful to understand what makes INFPs tick. If you are an INFP, this might be an interesting way to explain how it is that we operate, a different way of looking at things that may help some of your own internal considerations about how things work for you as an INFP. By the way, yes, I have renewed my temporary INFP license with the disclaimer that we all have maybe different interpretations or ideas of what an INFP is like. So you may not see me as an INFP, but indulge me, this might be worth listening to anyway. And if nothing else, you can compare and contrast your own experiences and decide whether or not this is correct. So, FI, I will actually start with a discussion of TI and INTPs. If you know INTPs, you know that TI is about accuracy and correctness. And to an INTP, accuracy and correctness is everything. So what is correct in TI is not necessarily what's in the INTP's best interest. What that means is that an INTP might have an idea of what they personally want, but they're good impartial judges that can, through their lens of TI, at least if they're healthy INTPs, through their lens of TI, figure out what is the most correct answer using the inputs, their judging, and then come out with an output. So INFPs are the same, but we're using FI, a subjective measure. It similarly is something that is rational and is provides repeatable results. It may be subjective to us, but it is something that comes out with a correct answer that may or may not be in the INFPs in our best interests. What that means is an INFP doesn't get to do whatever they feel like doing. They can, but things go way off the rails. An INFP, healthy one, is going to be bound to FI and the rulings that this mystery black box that's within us makes when we feed it inputs and then use that to generate an output of what is the correct way of thinking, course of action, what is morally accurate, what is of greatest interest or greatest importance. What all of this means for my metaphor, if we look at FI as being a separate thing within the INFP, it brings up two interesting questions for INFPs in general. One, why is this your priority? If it's not in your best interests, why are you paying so much attention? Why are you attending to this thing so much if it's not giving you what the payoff that might be best for you? Apparently best for you. Number two, if it's not giving you payoffs that are apparently best for you, what is the payoff? What is this thing doing that's providing some sort of an incentive for you to listen to it and to follow it? Well, this is where my flowery metaphor comes in. If you think of FI as being a separate entity, the INFP is in service to this black box, to this machine. We attend to it, we listen to it, we get its output. And the payoff is that for an INFP, inner harmony, maintaining that inner equilibrium is everything. It is what lets us sleep at night, but also what brings us this inner peace, an inner way of existing in the world that I wouldn't call it plot armor, but it's that kind of a concept that if only you follow these things, you will be rewarded in a metaphysical way. And as you pursue your FI interests, it will lead you to this metaphysical goal. So you may not see material realizations, but you're moving towards something that is important, and it is vital to stay on that path to maintain inner harmony and to maintain inner peace. So once you start thinking about it this way, that the INFP is a separate decision maker from FI, which comes out with its rulings, the INFP then looks at it and then chooses to follow in its footsteps, not begrudgingly, often cheerfully, but then you start seeing some of this mercurial behavior make sense, that it's actually, no, the INFP is acting in a way that is very stable and predictable. It's just that they're listening to another entity within themselves that is the focus of their predictability, their predictable behavior. And because you are not in that inner circle, that's where you may experience some of this mercurial seeming stuff. That is, FI may require of the INFP, again, it can be cheerful service, it may be begrudging, but probably cheerful service, to be kind, to be generous, to be apologetic, to do things that are right. But then at some point, FI may absolve the INFP from doing these things. There's a certain threshold that's met, and suddenly it's no longer the priority. You're no longer the importance. The obligation has been fulfilled. Now, at that point, it becomes the INFP's choice, and FI may have other priorities that they need to follow. So the INFP at that point may decide, well, I have no more obligation here, so I'm out. And they can ghost you without a second thought, because they are following in the footsteps of their FI requirement, and you are no longer part of that requirement. Now, that's, again, looking at maybe more mature FI or the INFP's choice then to say, yes, but I really wouldn't do that to a person. And therefore to continue to, even though it's no longer FI required, so to speak, to continue to, I guess there is an inherent FI need still to continue to be courteous to that person, kind, but it's no longer an FI priority. You've kind of fallen down the priority ladder to other things that must be done first. And then wherever you fall, that's where your experience with the INFP may change from one day to another, 1 week or month to another, one encounter to another. So you can poke a lot of holes in this idea. I mean, you can just say, yeah, but isn't FI just subconsciously being influenced by the INFP to give them the results that they want? Yeah, it's possible. Isn't it all just gut feel anyway? So it's kind of laying the blame on, like, the devil made me do it, sort of thinking that there's another entity. Sure. What I'm trying to draw out here with this metaphor is that there's this machine that has its own agenda that is important for the INFP to follow, and they're listening to that machine, that black box, that FI requirement, as a higher priority than you are, because it's the one thing that they attend to more than anything else in their life. They've paid more cognitive attention to it in their lifetime than any person could ever even closely achieve. Therefore, if your status within FI judging changes because FI says so, that can lead to changes in the INFP's behavior that may seem like a mystery, but it's really, it is a moving on of priorities and other requirements that are being set by FI. And yes, it's unfair. Yes, it's not the way that the world should work. But when the calling shifts to a fresh calling that is considered more important, higher priority, it is equally just and moral, or has a greater requirement for the FI to be in its service, then yes, I'm very sorry. It can happen that there are people that become where the requirement is lowered. And I should end this by saying that this doesn't apply universally to people. There are going to be lots of people that the INFP holds important. So you could say, yeah, that's part of FI as well, that it's in the INFP's interest to continue this relationship, to hold this person important. Where you kind of draw the line of what is a separate judgment from the black box versus what is the INFP's own thinking is, again, kind of a big gray area. But there are people who have been and will be important, I believe, throughout my lifetime. And so I am trying to explain to people who feel like the INFP has done a weird turnabout to them why that could happen, while at the same time saying this should not be common with most INFPs. Once you become precious to them, the FI machine may have its own ideas of what it wants the INFP to do, but their personal preference would be to maintain the importance of the existing relationships they have. And I would say I'm blessed with having many relationships that have continued for a very long time. And I hope that will continue throughout my lifetime. And may we all lead long and healthful lives. So that's all I've got. I hope it's not too controversial. Let me know if it's at all helpful or if I'm just blowing smoke. It is a way that I've tried to look at things to say, why do we do the things we do if it's not in our best interest? And it sometimes leads to things that may make us seem just difficult to understand. So with that, I bid you a good morning, good afternoon, tip of the hat, a good day. And I think this is the last of my brimmed hats. So after this, you'll get to see my thinning hairline again. Bye for now.